Catchment Management Authority have a really important role in and around flood recovery, but probably more importantly have a role well before flooding occurs. It's somewhat of an ongoing role in that waterway management, waterway health is something that we focus on day in, day out. And as part of that, apart from sort of improving the environmental values, it's also helping to, if you like, fortify rivers or make them more resilient for extreme events like floods. So that's in the first instance where we commence our journey around flooding. We also have a role during and the lead up to flood events and during a flood event. In fact, our statutory planning team have an involvement in gathering flood intelligence and providing advice to other agencies through things like SES and those sort of things. So we have not a major role, but an important role in that flood intelligence provision during flood events. After a flood event, we get pretty busy getting out there on the ground, having a look to see what damage has been done. And depending on the size of the flood and the location, that might be a major undertaking or just something we do as part of our day-to-day activities. Once we've done the assessment work, we'll work closely with a range of entities in government and the community to sort of ascertain what needs to be done in terms of high priority work. And generally that involves putting forward a case for investment in these sort of things. And again, depending on the event and the circumstances, money might be provided then to proceed to the recovery end of the spectrum. Once we get to recovery, often we'll build on the initial assessment work. We'll actually do perhaps some more detailed design work, particularly if you've got quite complex issues around waterways, and we'll then set about designing and then coming up with measures that might then go and repair those areas of waterways that have been damaged during flood events. The rollout then will occur generally as needed and as appropriate. So we'll then obviously monitor those over time and the cycle begins again. An important thing to remember about floods are no two floods are the same. And when it comes to waterways, whilst we've got a very strong role and our interests are very much centred around river health and environmental values, there's a whole host of other things that go with that make it quite complex. So in essence, a flood recovery and response effort is very much a shared set of responsibilities. So in this arena more than many others, it's where our partnerships and the collaborative work happens. And certainly in more recent floods, that's come to the fore where we've seen a number of really good areas that have needed work, but more importantly have required agencies, authorities, community and a host of others to really nut out what needs to be done. And to me, that's the value of what a catchment management authority can provide. That coordination, that working together and in many ways the nimbleness, the ability to actually get things started and actually respond to the community needs and the needs of the waterway. The flood event in June was quite significant in a number of ways, in the sense that it was quite widespread for our region in terms there was a lot of rain throughout the whole region. In addition to that, it was quite concentrated as well in a number of other areas. So particularly areas like here at Walhalla and Upper Thomson and other parts of Latrobe, it was quite substantive rainfall in a very short time, which created a lot of energy in the system. And it's that energy that ultimately causes the initial damage that you might see. So yeah, certainly as a flood event, it was quite significant, unique and challenging.